Welcome to CoreBytes, Core Education's conversation on leading technology topics. I'm Mike Dillon, Core Education's Executive Vice President for Digital Solutions, and I have with me my esteemed colleagues, Mike Alstrom, Senior Vice President for Technology Strategy and Delivery, and Matt Thornton, Vice President of our Workday practice. So in a world where knowledge is power, artificial intelligence is not just a tool, it's a game changer, and it's our topic for the day. Let's get right into it. So I'll start. For me, I appreciate what AI can do for the learner. And imagine where a place where every student receives personalized support tailored to their unique learning style, right? This is completely game changer. We all learn in a different way. Sometimes we need material presented in a way that is meaningful to us and that we can consume it. So AI provides that level of platform, and then it can also help equip the educator with insights on that particular learning or that particular student's learning pattern, and then that educator can help nurture each student's potential, fostering an inclusive environment and much more dynamic atmosphere. It absolutely ensures that no one is left behind. And this is transformational because usually learners will have a gap in an area and it's never reinforced or progressed. And so they may leave a subject matter and not really have a full understanding of the material that they should have had competency in. So anyway, for me, impacting students is a priority. I love the fact that what education does for people. So anyway, I'm going to ask now the group, what's an area you're impressed with AI's impact?
I'll go, Mike. For me, it's really about how fast AI is moving. It's incredible. It's like people are making faster tools to make faster tools. So things just keep getting faster and faster, right? So when I, look back when generative AI first came out, it was experimental. 18 months later, it's like essential. Everybody's using it, everybody's developing to it, and it's really skyrocketed. So, I think about that in terms of higher ed, and sometimes the decision cycles are a bit slower, and it's really important now to lean in. It's because the gaps are just going to get wider and wider as time goes on. It's not just about tech. It's a leadership problem. I'm studying up to have this conversation. Over the last week, I come across EDUCAUSE's AI landscape study back in 24. They are talking about thinking strategically, and over half of them aren't working with partners yet. So I think it's like it speaks to the challenges there, but also the opportunities to just lean in and get some great work done.
No, it's a great point. And it's funny because if we're talking about a study in 2024, and that's almost a generation ago in terms of
Seems
AI
like
development.
so long ago.
Right, right. It reminds me, one of the foremost thought leaders on AI is a gentleman called Michael Fassett. He's the founder of Aaron Research, and he does a podcast, which I strongly encourage everybody to listen to. It's Disambiguous is the name of the podcast. But he writes a frequent newsletter, and I talked to him about the rate of change. And I said, it's got to change quite a bit from month to month. He goes, month to month. He goes, it's week to week. It's literally week to week. He might put something out a month ago and it's antiquated, or AI has taken another change. So completely, the rate of change is super significant at this point in time.
Yeah, and I've seen that, and that's great content. And I noticed you've been on it a couple times, Mike. So congrats to you as well.
Yeah.
For me, higher education, the student experience. We're talking about academic advisors, right? Tools like Jill Watson out at Georgia Tech, which are providing like 24/7 academic support, reminding students of deadlines answering FAQs, student satisfaction, and really boosting the retention of the students. So I think about just AI and how it impacts the advising area. Also, faculty grading and feedback. I am a child of educators. Both my parents were career Dallas Independent School District teachers, and I think back of all the hours that they spent grading and just stacks of papers, grading, and tools that are out there are really helping provide rapid grading with constructive, individualized feedback on assignments and assessing things. I can only imagine how much time it would have saved my parents growing up to have an automated grading process that was effective and really good. Also, enrollment and financial aid. Just think about with financial aid how often there's so many complicated looking at the student's aid need and then realizing with the grants and the scholarships and all the financial calculations that go on, right? Answering student inquiries, reducing summer melt and improving yield is just another great opportunity in the financial aid enrollment area as well, Mike.
Absolutely. And first off, I got to thank your parents for their service. I mean, that's
Oh
just,
yeah, for
that's a
sure.
wonderful calling, and it's definitely a commitment to, benefiting society and benefiting individuals. So anyway, I appreciate that. And when I think about financial aid awarding and AI, um, I think about the deep insights that AI can provide, and particularly like you could take two students that look like they have the same amount of need, exactly the same, but AI can go in to look at demographics and location, some other things. So you might have one who's got parents with stable careers and another one with some level of income insecurity with their
Right,
parents. So there's a case where, and you can't do it with federal aid, but with institutional aid, you might want to repackage or package somebody with a little bit more institutional aid that has that insecurity to ensure that they will accept and enroll in an institution. But it's that kind of insights, and we can look across the kind of the spectrum on other things that are helping. As long as you have a integrated data platform, you can get a much better 360 view of a student. And so in the case as well, AI applied to at-risk students. And I know
yeah.
that's a topic we'll probably talk a little bit more about either here or in later podcasts, but what AI can do to identify and help and have prescriptive analytics about um, ensuring that student has student success is really critical.
Yeah, great point, Mike. And not just in terms of their retention and, are they a student that's at risk of dropping out, but also at risk for mental health as well. There's tools that are out there that have cognitive behavioral support, triage, scaling, and consulting services, which reducing the student's time risk, if you will. And another really important one, I'm personally so I think it's so important to just keep track of not only grades, but a student's mental health as well. So all great examples. There's so many use cases, Mike. We could probably go on for hours talking about
Maybe we
all the
should. Maybe
awesome
we should.
innovations. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tap in a little bit on the mental health.
Mm,
It's become such a prevalent topic and a top
yeah.
topic for EDUCAUSE and higher ed in general. But if you go back pre-pandemic, even a few years before that, um, the cost of mental health care at higher institutions has, in the last, say 7 years, 8 years, has more than quadrupled. I mean, it
Wow.
is a significant area of concern, and we don't yet know what some of the net causes are. We think about it's partly the digitization
Mm,
of students' upbringing, but we don't know fully. But anyway, that's a really good point to raise, that AI can help in that arena.
yeah.
Mike, I think you
Yeah, a couple, talking about the student experience and supporting students. More recent article from EDUCAUSE, the EDUCAUSE review, May 25. They shared about a college that connected the AI department, the academic department, the library, and the Student Success Center to
Mm,
create chatbots personalized learning pathways, and just a matrix of support for the student to improve that student experience, and not replacing people. The people are still are playing a critical role,
Mm.
but providing those people with a tool set that gets them that much faster to the right students at the right time, really making an impact. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Great point. Yeah.
And I think about, back to learning, right? It's a thing I just think going to improve so much. So you think about the ability to use augmented reality. And so
Mm.
just, think about a chemistry student that walks into a classroom with some VR glasses on, and they can actually, and a chemistry student, right? Not my favorite topic, but it would have reinforced things if I could have seen compounds and atoms and been able to push them together and see the chemical reaction like that is some amazing reinforcement of material and visualizing it in a way that reading a textbook just doesn't do it for you. And you can think about other use cases, whether you're in a historic site and you can see how it has changed over time. You get a Roman ruin, right? And you can see now that there's a 20th century city built on top of it. Or
Yeah.
climate change. You're sitting on a glacier and you know what it looked like 1,000 years ago, and now you're sitting on a piece of dry land, right? That really reinforces the rate of change. So kind of really, really interesting use cases for AI and AR.
I love that. And that brings to mind, Mike, the notion of personalized learning, right? Because we all learn differently. Everybody learns differently. So you can use AI to do really a deep personalization of educational content, assessments, things like that. Understanding the learning style, not just presenting material necessarily, but to your point, using augmented reality, also assessing a student and speaking to them in their language, whatever the language is that they learn best in, using those AI tools to bring that to the forefront so that really students can uptake. I mean, that's really what it's about, is their ability to uptake, understand, and synthesize the data and information that they're learning. Also smart tests, which when a student answers incorrectly, maybe the question is asked differently. That happens to me all the time. Somebody will ask a question and I don't really understand, and then they reassess or they reformulate their question, and then I say, "Oh, I get that." So just that notion as well. Maybe the student doesn't they don't necessarily not know the answer, but it's just the way the question was asked, and AI can really reshape and reform that and how learning is personalized. Really, really amazing stuff.
Yeah. Personally, I don't need any help. I've got a wrong answer for every question.
You and me both, brother.
But and you point out a good point there, again about the student, right? And there's plenty of use cases out there. I'll point out that Ivy Tech Community College, they have a
Mm,
predictive. So this means that when I point out Ivy Tech, it's not just wealthy institutions that can afford an AI strategy and a deployment of a solution. Ivy Tech Community College has a predictive analytics tool that it can identify at-risk students within 2 weeks of them starting a course, which students are going to struggle.
yeah.
And it has 80% accuracy. So they can jump in ahead of that and really help the students and say, hey, you may struggle in this. Here are some resources that we can help you with, and or identifying and letting that be known to the instructor so that they can really focus on them.
Great point. And it's interesting with human behavior. There's
Yeah.
behavior nuances, things that we do that can almost in a way predict actions that we know A, B, and C. If a student it does, drops their classes, if they do this, if they're going, if their failure rate is declining. So there's predictive analytics there and just the ability to know, hey, we need to pivot. And to your point, Ivy Tech, a great Workday client, great Workday school out there, and a really good use case for a smaller institution, if you will, mid-sized institution using AI effectively.
I knew you were going to figure out a workday plug there.
Yeah, always. I have to. I love my Workday.
Another thing, is higher ed is now really critiqued on its ability to lead to successful careers and an
Mm,
income level that is sustainable and is validated based on the education they received, right? That you received an education that actually pushes the needle and you can afford to pay back student loans, et cetera, or just that you can the value of that education was worth the career path. But and the reason I point this out is, another not rich institution, but they're doing something fantastic, is the Virginia Community College system. So they have a career wizard that they present, especially to students that haven't yet decided on a career path, but they know what lifestyle they want to have. They actually can put in, I want to be in this zip code in Virginia. That's where I want to live. I have this lifestyle. I like to eat out this much. I want, fancy car, whatever they want, right? They put in all these demographics on it, and then they put in what degree program they want to do. And the wizard will say, hey, this is going to align with your objectives, or it's not. You might want to consider something else. Either, adjust your expectations on lifestyle, or you have to go seek a different kind of career. So that's really really interesting. And I know we've kind of focused on the student side, but if we look at HR, and please jump in here, you know, with AI, you can have an AI agent, and I know Workday has this, right? That is like a digital mentor that works alongside an employee or does some of the tasks, the mundane tasks that they don't really want to do. This assistance is superior, I would say, in terms of the next evolution of the workforce about having these kinds of assistants. So they're not, in some cases, yeah, they may take away jobs, but in a lot of cases, they're elevating the employee experience. And then AI is also can look at an organization and plan out succession planning, career planning, training that needs to take place so that the succession plans work, and you can move sort of the puzzle pieces to make the institution more effective long term. So a lot of other use cases, again, in the whole work environment. I know PwC and Deloitte have been using AI to help employees and managers um, learn about their own behaviors and how that impacts the workforce. Particularly, they provide AI training around bias in blind spots. We all have bias of some sort, but this helps draw it out so that you can learn from it, correct your behavior, create a more inclusive and productive environment. So anyway, neat things that can be done on HR.
It makes me think of things with finance. I recently went through some training with Alteryx, which is an analytics platform. It's going beyond automating at this point. It's really about accelerating, being able to do things like budget forecast or expense tracking, reconciliations, and all that. And days and weeks are becoming hours and minutes instead. Um, but just having, Alteryx has an offering called Auto Insights, which will dig into the data and give you root cause analysis. Industry agnostic. It will look for trends in the data and reveal points of concern or notice, and really could be very impactful in the compliance industry. And also just being able to lean into AI enabled analytics tools. All of a sudden you're democratizing your data at that point. You don't need this small team of overburdened data scientists or data analysts who are the bottleneck. All of a sudden now you can get data to the masses. Just get them a little bit trained up with some low code, no code tools that are supported by AI, and all of a sudden you got an army of data users at your disposal. It's really great.
Yeah, those tech guys, man, they're always the bottleneck.
Imagine that. I know that a lot of ERPs are embedding AI directly into the platform. Probably something that Matt could touch on with Workday. Give him another chance to.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. I love plugging Workday as much as I possibly can. Workday Illuminate. I mean, we've got to talk about it. They have agents there. It is their AI agents are in place and they're growing constantly. They have roles that help employees, faculty members, students. That just goes across the full platform with HCM, finance, payroll, and student. And they've really moved the needle from predictive analytics to prescriptive analytics, not just letting you know what is going to happen, but telling you what to do, what to actually do. And there's so many just great use cases, especially for higher education. Recruiter agent streamlines hiring for adjuncts, staff, faculty. The expense agent, it automates travel, faculty reimbursement process. I know that faculty do a lot of traveling, and so reimbursement, just succession agents, it supports academic leadership planning, departmental continuity, optimization agent, assist institutions in aligning staffing, financial aid, academic offerings, and just on and on and on. So Workday's really, again, moved the needle. They've jumped out ahead of their competitors and really have begun the process of revolutionizing ERP as it pertains to AI.
Yeah. And if if you don't happen to have Workday, um, and a lot of people don't, so
That's
you know,
true.
uh, Mike, I know you use AI daily. Some great use cases that you could share.
Um, it's so like we talked about, so changing and move so quickly. I think if I we're getting close on time here, so if I had any words for anybody, it'd be about just being curious and diving in and using it. um, Look for opportunities to uh, lean in and use it in different ways. I think that for everyone, we're still learning how to get the most of it, and it's definitely a journey.
No, and it's like like we've all said, it's changing minute by minute. So, and fortunately, getting easier to figure out what to deploy and how to deploy it. So that's the other great thing. Well, I have to say that great topic. Thank you guys. Appreciate you jumping in on this. And I'll just close. AI is driving innovation and excellence. AI is not to be feared, but it is meant to be harnessed. So let's embrace this transformation. Let's unlock the full power of AI across the enterprise. It can support and elevate the human experience, right? And it's really about elevating the human experience. And we're going to be paving the way for a brighter tomorrow.
Mm,
So with that,
great words.
thank you for joining us at CoreBytes.
Thank you.